Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's much better.
Is that better?
That's way better.
See the difference. Let me know when we're live.
Oh, we're totally live.
We're totally live?
Yeah.
Will you let me know? Because I'd like to know.
You told me to start the broadcast.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, I was ready.
Take two.
Okay.
No, I'll stay live.
Harry's here.
Hey, Harry.
He said, what's up?
Hey, Harry. So let's see. Welcome, people who are arriving. This is Craziness at No Peak Pottery here. We are doing Critical Care Episode 2. We're doing Myra Douglass' flask. Is Myra here? Myra, if you're here.
Ian says hi. Myra is not here yet.
All right, we'll wait for Myra because she's an important part of this. But we also have an interesting occurrence here. There is a young man who is walking across the continent. His name is Ji-Hoon Kim. So I'm being filmed by a GoPro camera as well as on Periscope. We're going to turn the tables on Ji-Hoon. And he walked here from Montreal. And then he's going to continue on through Minneapolis and Fargo and up to Winnipeg and all the way across over to Vancouver. He found us through couch surfing, but if you have a yard along that route and you're willing to let him tent, please think about it. Here, can we introduce Hallow. His nickname is Hallow.
All right.
Oh, good live.
I don't know. Hi, I'm Ji-Hoon Kim, but you can call me Hallow. Yeah, actually, this is from the Philippines, but halo means ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Tagalog, so halo. So I like ice cream, so that's why it's my
Nice.
nickname. So
Someone's asking if you're walking west or east.
it's to Vancouver.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, from Montreal.
Okay.
Vancouver. So now I'm here, and I don't know. I have tried to something big in my life once at least, so I'm just trying now. So
Okay.
yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Someone's sending you ice
kind of
cream.
big deal for me at least. So.
Some ice cream emojis.
Emoji.
Oh!
And some hearts.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Potter community could get in on this and help Hallow out with places to stay. I posted sort of his route online and on Instagram. Hey, is Myra here yet? It's quiet. All's quiet.
Oh.
Well, give me a shout out, Myra, when you get here. Anybody having questions yet, Liz?
Oh, Myra's here.
Yay, Myra's here.
Oh, Harry says you got a place in Index, Washington.
Oh.
It might be a little further south. I think he's up in Canada by that time.
Yeah.
But tempting.
Myra says hi.
Tempting. Hi, Myra. So, I don't know if you saw, Myra, we did a little, or I did a little ad for your flask where I was filling it with some Jamesons. And struggling a little bit. I spilled a little Jamesons. Is there a special funnel for this size flask that I don't know about? One of the suggestions was that I add on the end of the funnel a straw as a way to connect. To fill it. Did Myra have any thoughts about how she fills these flasks?
Oh, yes. They do make tiny little funnels.
Okay.
Oh.
Where does one find a tiny little funnel?
Tiny Little Funnel Depot. So we're gonna talk about your flask, Myra.
So what about taking paper and making a cone and filling it?
I thought about that, but I didn't know if I wanted paper soaked with Jamesons.
Okay. You light it on fire.
Good. And then after we talk about Myra's flask, we're gonna talk about Liz's bowls out of the most recent firing. This is my former. I can now use the term former instead of my apprentice Liz.
It's weird.
It's weird. She's finished up her apprenticeship here, and she's going on to grad school at Wichita with Ted Adler and Brenda Lichman.
I'm nodding, but you can't see because I'm over here. I'm excited.
Don't shake the phone up and down in agreement.
Yeah, that's a little disorienting. I'm not going to do that again.
No,
That's a
thank you.
mistake. Mistakes were made. Hey, someone's from Topeka at P3T. Awesome. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, A.L. Pottery. I agree. Okay.
Well, let's look at the flask. Feel free to ask Liz, who's being my producer, cameraman, comment reader, to zoom in, or if there's any questions. One thing I'm going to say before we start talking about the critique is what makes a good critique good, which is it's feedback about what the critiquer, me in this case, is hearing, is seeing, is getting from the piece, where there's information communicated clearly, where there's information that seems miscommunicated or out of place, something that's strange or something I don't understand. So if Myra here is speaking a language in clay and is communicating to me and I'm reading that, I'm going to tell her back what I hear. And so I'm looking at the flask, I'm feeling it, all elements that you can consider. I think a potter's duty is to kind of take ownership of those. So I'm feeling weight, the touch, how she's touched the clay, the flashing, the firing choices. She's added some slip decoration on here, and it's thin and thick. You can kind of see the brushwork of it. It comes around here, swirls down there. The bottom of it, her choice for the decoration, the pinched edge, this dent here. So one way to suggest intent when you're working on a pot is to reiterate. So this shape up at the top is reiterated in the shape in the bottom. And we get to see that dent here on the sides of the pot too. So that movement of the pot is reiterated really well throughout the pot. And I think that's good communication. There's also down at the bottom, I don't know if we can catch it on the camera, but Myra has her signature here and how she chose to sign it. Really light and gentle. You can tell she's got a beautiful touch with clay, and she's in tune with a lot of the sensitivities. We often think of criticism as negative, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be negative. When this pot came in the mail, I thought, wow, that's a really sweet pot. What am I going to say about it? How am I going to deconstruct it? And there's certainly things that I can talk about that I think could be attended to better. But overall, it's an object I want to touch. It's an object I want to hold. It's a pleasure. I keep turning it around when I am holding it. I haven't really tried to drink out of it yet. Oh, it burns. It's drinking out of it is a little awkward. The container is so small, and the where the cork comes in, this curves in, and so it doesn't really want to give up the liquid that you want out of it very fast.
Myra says LOL. some beer clinking together emojis and a tongue sticking out emoji.
Cheers, Myra. It's messy to pour into my mouth. So I don't know. I think that's a functional issue, which brings up a great debate we could have. Except that I feel like I'm the only one talking.
Well, Myra actually just said yes. Just change that lip.
Change this lip.
Mm-hmm.
This.
She just changed your lips.
She changed my lips. That's pretty good. Yeah. So if I put my mouth over it, there's no displacement, so it doesn't pour. And then if I try and pour it into my mouth, it rolls down the sides. It doesn't pour very well.
It says the kind you tip your head back and pour. The comment. So
Yeah.
it says to drink some more.
Drink some more. You're not the boss of me.
Brittany Lee says, Myra, would you intend to pour or drink? Like, is that which one? Which question is that?
So I could try pouring into my coffee here. It's a little messy. But so here's what it makes me think of is this decision about whether you want it to function really well, or be a beautiful aesthetic object. And sometimes it's not a choice between those two. Sometimes they can do both, and they can both do really well. And sometimes there's a shuck and jive. You have to sacrifice one for the other a little bit.
Myra, could you say that comment again? I missed it. There was the one that you said you would intend it more for sipping than pouring, and then there was one that you wrote before that. That disappeared before I could read it. Someone says that's called a nipper.
A nipper?
Nipper. I don't know what that means.
So a nip is a little sip of whiskey.
Okay.
So it is a tiny little flask, a little hip flask, a nipper.
Okay. All right, Harrison signing off for now.
Okay.
They'll watch the rest later.
Thanks for coming. So in that sensitivity that you have, Myra, and how rounded and soft it is, I'm finding that the brush lines that are in the slip feel a little distracting. They're thin, they're narrow, they're tight. They're the little lines of hairs in the brush. And that curve that you're following, I get the fact that you're following and you're bringing my eye all the way around and up. But it's actually the thickness and those brush lines that feel distracting from that. I'd be happy without, certainly on this side, without the brush lines. Here, I think this is the side that got a lot more, looks like wood-fired, and perhaps maybe there was some soda in there. But there's a lot more ash or alkalis that ate away at the brush lines on here, so you don't see them. But this was fired at its side, and it's in these areas where the brush lines feel out of place. I love the reiteration of form. I love the softness of it. It's comfortable in my hand. Are you able to find Myra's comment?
I did. The aesthetic of the former lip was less pleasing.
The aesthetic of the form?
The former lip, like the lip before. I'm not sure.
The previous iteration?
I think so.
Yeah, I think this is aesthetically pleasing. I like the little cork. It's really fun to play with. And it's this is a nice termination of that. I'm wondering if it would pour better if the actual interior part of this didn't curve in. If this curves in, that doesn't mean that the interior dimension has to curve in. I think there's a little gurgle problem when the interior of your spout is like this and there's a hollow under it. So the exterior can be like that and the interior can be like this. I'm wondering if that would help.
She says, interesting. And previously, she wanted it to function better also.
Yeah? Yeah, I don't like spilling my Jameson. It's sweet though. It's a nice pot. I'm pleased to handle it and get to look at it. I think wood firing is a nice solution for it. It softens all those edges even more so. The flashing on it isn't obnoxious or out of place. The wad marks is a really nice relationship in size between wad marks and dots. I think that's something that's really nice to see. That's it. What I'm looking for is a logic behind the choices in the pot. And I'm seeing a lot of that logic there.
Gosh, thanks. I love the wood and letting that process inform my form.
Yeah, you're attentive to it. Is there something specific you would like feedback on? I think this is an opportunity for more information, for more to happen, or a little surprise, or a Surgeon General's warning, or I don't know what you might put here, but I think this is an opportunity to play and to let ash play, or flashing, or slip. And then this line here, the undercut. You know, I like how this rolls up really smooth into it. This line feels a little bit sharp. Not too much. I mean, I'm nitpicking now.
Oh, she's interested in hearing about the brushwork. She says she struggles with decorating or not decorating.
Well, so you're struggling with decorating or not decorating? I do too. Me decorating is usually placing wads. Maybe now I'm doing some inlay, but I'm doing lines and circles. It's pretty straightforward decoration. I have tremendous faith in the wood firing process and adjust the clay bodies and adjust the firing so that to get the decoration I'm looking for. I don't think the brushwork would bother me. Like on this side, it's fine. It's enhancing. You know, the width of it has a relationship to the width that's there. The colors, the way it moves with the form, right on. My only issue was right here, and this where this changes direction, where the slip line here comes around, and you can see the brush lines. That really feels out of place. There. So it's if you could step back, Myra, a little bit when you are decorating and look at the logic behind all the choices you've made and figure out a way to decorate that follows that same logic. And, you know, it's hard to see. I'm dropping it already. So I feel you, because the wood firing changes your decorations radically. It can obliterate them, it can soften them, it can enhance them. And in the sheltered areas, all that texture just gets picked up. You don't hide anything. Thank you.
Someone said it was a nice snipper. Makes them want to try one.
Yeah, I bet you could get 100 of these in every kiln load.
At least.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, yeah, we didn't really get into the talk of...
Myra says no, thanks, y'all.
Yeah, follow Myra on Instagram and on Periscope. She's at Myra Douglass with 2 S's on both of those. So Liz had some bowls out of the last firing, and they have these funny little handles. You call them handles?
They can be handles.
They can be handles?
They can be whatever you want them to be.
Really?
I would call them handles.
You call them handles?
Yeah.
They certainly orient the pot in your hand. This one's certainly more comfortable for my hand. It's got a little bit of an undercut to it here, so it's easier to hold than this one, which doesn't have that.
Okay.
That's an ergonomic issue. I like the pots from this view, the side view. more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think from here, they become a little bit figurative. The rim seems a little thin and doesn't travel as much in thickness in and out as the curves of this bowl and the fatness of the bowl and the fatness and pendulousness of this knob. It travels in and out this way, and as the bowl dips down here, the rim dips down there.
And they stack okay. That was a question that came up. They're not really built for stacking, but it can. It's not bad.
Not bad.
Which is not really how my pots described.
Obviously, your pots are stack okay and they're not bad. I have this curry radish plate. Which I like a lot, and it's got a little tumorous growth too, with a flower on it, and these do not stack well.
No.
But I like it, and it sets up the plate. There's things don't have to always work well to be good.
Okay.
Some things can be annoying or allowed a place or force you into interacting with a piece that sets you up to question, to wonder, and always to be present when you're with that piece.
You're getting a lot of hurts for that.
Form doesn't have to follow function. That's just a philosophy. So the choices we make as potters, it depends on what you want to talk about, what you want to be important to you. Steve Rolfe makes beautiful pots, and they all function really, really well. They act of functioning really well, and he wants them to be the workhorse of the house. They're great pots. And he finds a way that he's not sacrificing one or the other. Linda Christensen's mug, Pete Pinnell talks about how the handle on one of her mugs makes him aware of it. It doesn't quite sit comfortably, so it slows him down when he drinks his coffee. It slows him down when he drinks his coffee. It makes him aware of that moment where it's something that you don't pay attention to wouldn't. And so stacking the plates, stacking your bowls, having these little knobs that make you interact with the piece. Those things bring you aware and in the moment with the piece. And that's a really valuable place for people who want an interactive space. Function is just one aspect of what we make, and it need not lead always.
Someone asked if you ever made, I don't know who this question's directed to, but have you ever made weird replications of ancient pots with weird functions?
Replications of ancient pots with weird functions. I remember making replicas of pillows, ceramic pillows.
Okay.
That's kind of a weird function. For play. I don't know. I haven't made any sacrificial blood catchers or any strange ancient pots like that.
Not yet.
Not yet. I have to think about that. So I love the softness of these bowls, Liz. I like how they undulate and they roll and they're fat and they're soft and they're
Your blood picture comment got a lot of hearts. I was commenting on that, and I was getting more.
nice. Well, that makes me regret making that comment on Periscope a little bit less. I have a habit of saying the wrong thing. So.
Someone also says, this is great. I love a discussion of aesthetics and idea. And then someone also asked about the foot, and it is a trimmed foot.
It is a trimmed foot, and then you're pushing in with your finger to misshape it, yeah?
Yeah.
And get it to undulate like the walls of the pot.
Mm-hmm.
I push you a little bit, Liz, as your former teacher.
Uh-huh.
As I retired. But I push you to play with your wall thickness.
Okay. Can I see the foot close up? Cool, thanks.
You're playing with the undulation of the wall as it moves in this dimension. But you're throwing really thin, I think, to get the weight up. And your technical throwing has gotten really good in the past year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And you're making things nice and light. Now I think it's time to start putting the clay where you want to put it.
Okay.
Instead of just removing it.
Okay.
Because your walls, I think you're missing an opportunity for chubbiness in your walls and talk about undulation in the wall of the pot, not just in the profile of the pot.
Lisa Orr actually said that when she was talking to me about my pot, she said she wanted to see me not wedge my clay.
Wait, she wants to see you not do something?
Yeah, to not wedge my clay and to see and just to try to get more variation of thickness. Someone asked me just now if they think if I think about my pots as feminine. Kind of.
Kind of?
Kind of. Yeah, I don't think that's something I actively think about when I'm making them, but they definitely have like curves and softness, and those are generally looked at as feminine traits. So in that respect, yes. But no, what would you say?
I don't know. You get tricky into cultural preconceived notions of male and female and what their roles are, and I don't feel like there's feminine. They're soft. They're gentle.
Someone said it reminds them of Al Holland pots before she started doing double-walled ones, like for older pots.
Mm-hmm. So that.
I love her work, by the way. She's awesome. I definitely looked at that. Mm-hmm. She came and fired with us.
She did. Blast. She brought up her students. Yeah, I think the main thing I'd push you on is that putting the clay where you want to put it and making a decision about those things. And that's getting into some really technical kind of throwing that's going to take it to the next level and I think make these bowls even better. I mean, you've got a good eye. You've pared down elements.
I made some of them without any feet at all, but then forgot they're in my car. Actually, they're not very far away, but they're not accessible for this critique.
Yeah, I think that I asked Liz to limit this critique a little bit to one form because we had Myra's flask. Does anybody have any questions about Liz's bowls, Myra's flask, where you can get them? Shop now. You can follow Liz on Instagram at Lizella Slip, and she's not on Periscope yet.
I am, but I've never done one. I just wanted to watch you. Oh, someone asked, do these bowls make you want to use them like every day? Are they like daily bowls, or are they a different role?
We have so many pots. There's very few pots in our house that become daily pots, but there's some that work into rotation and stay for a long time. This Ayumi Horie mug is my extra limb sometimes. It feels like that. And so bowls tend to go in the stack, and they come through rotation. They're really good size for daily use, though. They're really good size for ice cream or oatmeal or cereal. They'd be a little small for salad, but they're really comfortable size. Yeah, they wouldn't be for rare occasions.
Okay.
No, they're comfortable enough and daily use enough that they would get a lot more play than the special stuff for special occasions, for rarity. Yeah. There is a strip of slip here that bothers me.
Yeah, me too. Someone says, so you wouldn't seek them out as a favorite? I don't think so. I don't think they're really... I mean, I've been working on this form for a long time, and it's gone through a lot of iterations. And they're way better than they used to be, but now they're going in a new direction again, and I feel like there's a lot of unresolved stuff happening, which is one of the reasons I want to talk about them. I don't think these are my best spots of the firing at all, but they're ones that I have the most questions about.
Yeah, often when we do a critique, it's not your best or your worst, but it's just the one that keeps poking at you and you can't figure out why. And a good critique should help move you towards clarity. Well, actually, I flipped one right side up. Here, flip this one over.
Okay.
And was going to ask Liz a question.
Okay.
As the critic, I can also ask questions.
Uh-oh.
I reserve the right. So, which side do you like better? The inside here, or the outside?
I think the outside.
Do you feel like they're different from each other?
I feel
in feel and touch.
The inside, from that angle, is a bit static. I don't know.
Yeah, so I agree that I like the outside of this one. I like the softness of it. I like the color and the movement of it, and the gentleness and the fullness of it.
I like the wad marks too. There were ones that showed up a little bit better, but I like that they're just large. Not that one, but that one. Another one that it showed up better. I mean, it's not here, but that one has the light marks. That's just a lot of sort of large wads that it was resting on. I think that makes sense with the rest of the pot.
Yeah, so they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 larger wads here, and they barely made a mark. It was fairly sheltered from a lot of the ash and the firing. But I think there's a quality here in the outside, a gentleness that we don't quite see on the interior.
That's a good way to put it.
And I'd like to see what you playing with the interior.
Well, Myra says, but how? How do you add movement to the inside? That's something I struggle with in my work.
Well, I think the choice of glaze is an issue here. This glaze is pretty oxidized, a little bit oxidized, but it's also pretty uniform glaze. So there's glazes or slips. She could do a slip on the interior that flashes. She could add something in here that catches the, something here to catch flame, push the flame down in and get some of that firing movement in there. I think Liz is playing with firing some on their sides a little bit, or leaning in towards the fire. Different glaze. There's all different ways that you can get that movement. That brings up another issue with critique is I can make some suggestions, but it's not really my job to solve or even come up with how it should be solved. But the things that we're enjoying on here, I'd like to see similar kind of attentiveness and feel. And I think Liz is thinking about the interior, but it's subservient to the exterior. So also playing with that wall thickness will allow her a lot more play on the interior of the bowl.
Cool.
Yeah.
Susan joined?
Hi, Susan.
I think the inside of that one's better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's more variation in the glaze, which is nice. It's just more interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right about the wad marks.
Yeah. Neil says, great discussion.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks
And
for coming.
Susan says, and Karen. Karen?
Karen.
The bunny tail handle looks like a separate idea. Maybe location or glaze interior and handles? I don't know.
Who said that?
CF Pottery? Someone also mentioned that they would like a little bit more material removed from the inside of the foot. And I don't know if I agree with that either. I don't think it needs a super defined foot ring. If anything... Oh, Chad French.
No, Chad made it. Chad had messaged me earlier that he wasn't going to be able to make it to the Periscope because he had softball, baseball, some sort of sport thing.
Okay.
Sporty Chad French from Iowa. Had something going on. But now he's here. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen you trim foot rings and interior foot rings.
I have.
And I kind of agree that the wide, broad open space is much nicer.
I think it is. Or no feet, too. Sometimes I might try more with no feet.
I'd like to see you not make feet.
It's no more feet.
The bunny tail handle, is that what someone called these?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Myra says, I wonder about the perfect circle of the foot.
It's not very circular, actually. It's because it's got dents in it. There. And pushed up areas. Not unlike someone we know.
And Myra says she would be curious to see more feet.
I'd be curious to see you make, since you've added a handle, you're starting to make the bowl directional.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see you transfer this into a little gravy boat.
Okay. That could be fun.
And play with the spout on the other end.
Okay.
What that would be like.
Probably
That in that case, bringing the handle up further might be an interesting, instead of having it pendulous and level with the bowl here.
Mm-hmm.
Bring that up above so the spout comes up and start playing with that.
That could be cool. I was wondering, I made some handles like much farther down, like on the side, and those looked terrible. I didn't need to tell me that. I just knew.
That's good.
Yeah.
You just knew.
I brought them with me.
You knew you had done wrong.
I did. Yeah, I brought them with me, but they're going to the shard pile.
Gotcha.
I don't have one of those at my house.
A good writer has a good editor.
Someone said they remind him of a French onion crock, but you could totally use it for that.
Oh yeah, these would be really... I think a giant cheesy crouton thing on top of some French onions.
I would eat that out of anything.
So these are like large ramekins then.
They are. Gibson Pottery says it's been really fun. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for coming. If you're interested in having your pots critiqued in this venue, message me. You can follow me on Periscope at Woodfire, or on Instagram at Woodfire, or Simon Levin on Facebook, or Simon at simonlevin.com, and message me. And if you want to send me a pot, I'm happy to set up Critical Care episode 3. Thanks to Myra and Liz.
Michelle Gray says, this has been so helpful. Thank you for sharing.
Yay! Good. I'll try and copy this and post it on Facebook, but I'd love to continue this kind of dialogue. And if it keeps going, we'll have guest critics come in.
Neil is down to get on the chopping block.
All right, on the chopping block. Yeah. So the rule is send me the pot. If you send return shipping, I'll even ship it back to you. Otherwise, I'll keep it and it might end up in my cupboard or my hip pocket.
Ale Pottery says this has been fantastic, Simon.
Thanks,
At
Andrew.
P3T says, ooh. I don't know what intonation that is. It could be like a ghost ooh, or a oh, or a
Ew.
Someone says, love learning this way, thank you. Myra says, yay, wonderful to have this conversation. Ian says, pick me. So hand raised. All right.
Thank you all for coming. Have a good night. Let me know when you end the podcast.
I know, I'm working on it.